Hello friends, welcome to MOM, the Hindu News Analysis program presented by DEEKSHA SPACE. Today in this session we are going to look after December 19, 2020, the Hindu newspaper analysis. Today's first article, Supreme Court finds High Court order on Andhra Pradesh government disturbing. This article we are discussing in the context of Andhra Pradesh High Court, which has passed an unprecedented order on October 1st, which was deciding on a habeas corpus petition filed by a relative of a person remanded in judicial custody. Supreme Court in this article has stayed the Andhra Pradesh High Court's order, which is intending to embark judicial inquiry on the state whether constitutional breakdown of machinery is being seen, requiring a declaration of President's rule. So in this article we have to understand the contexts of Article 356, which is majorly discussed in here, and habeas corpus on the petition on which Andhra Pradesh High Court has taken this judgment. So Article 356 it empowers the President to issue proclamation if he is satisfied that a situation has arisen where government of state cannot be carried out in provisions of Constitution. So please remember, this empowers the President, not the High Court, to discuss into these matters. So clearly there is an overreach of judiciary over the executive. And another article we can also discuss over here is Article 365 also, where whenever a state fails to comply with or give effect to the directions from the center, then it will be lawfully for the President to hold that a situation has arisen in which government of state cannot be carried out in accordance with the provisions of the government. So Article 365 and 356, both of these empowers the President to take a call with respect to breakdown of machinery or government machinery in the state. But here in this article what we found that the Andhra Pradesh High Court in a petition deciding with respect to habeas corpus has taken up a call with respect to failure of government machinery, which is a point of concern here. This has not happened, or this kind of order has not been given in history, and this is really disturbing, where a judiciary has overreach an executive power as per Article 356, where we saw deals with the failure of constitutional machinery in state, and it powers or empowers President to take a call with respect to this. Under the constitutional framework, this is clearly an overreach of judiciary over the executive's authority, which needs to be understood in this article. Next article, Parliamentary panel calls for migrant workers database. This article we are discussing in the context of a Parliamentary Standing Committee on Home Affairs, which has asked to prepare a national database of migrant workers at the earliest to ensure that when there is a repeat of COVID-19 like pandemic, the relief measures should reach intended beneficiaries at time. So here the committee has asked for an urgent review of 123-year-old Epidemic Diseases Act 1897. So about Epidemic Diseases Act comprehensively we have covered in Explain series of DEEKSHA Space. Please visit the YouTube channel and have a brief understanding about this. So what are the provisions, what are the legal parameters are given under this are clearly made understood over there. So the report, Management of COVID-19 Pandemic and Related Issues, which was decided at this meeting, is trying to identify the location and dispersing relief measures to the migrant workers, which became difficult by the central government during this pandemic to reach migrant workers. So in the absence of national database or comprehensive national database is the major reason why government failed to reach the intended beneficiaries. So this Parliamentary Standing Committee on Home Affairs has asked to prepare this database. And second, it has asked to urgently review the Epidemic Diseases Act 1897, where any pandemic comes down, there are two major provisions which comes into existence. One is Disaster Management Act 2005 and Epidemic Diseases Act 1897. Both of these acts are insufficient is the opinion of the committee, and Home Ministry is already under review with respect to Disaster Management Act 2005, but it has also recommended to have similar efforts to review Epidemic Diseases Act 1897 also. Here, the ancient provisions of Epidemic Diseases Act 1897 are also discussed here. As we all know, this was introduced in the year when there was a plague epidemic in Mumbai. However, during colonial era, that is during British India, this has been from 1918 during Spanish flu, it has been used, and there need to be an updated, amended, which is fully equipped to respond to the challenges which are posed at the present epidemic or in the future where we might see or we might not see. The committee is asking to not to depend on international trends which are being followed up and have a self-prepared strategy in order to deal with this kind of pandemics in future. Next article, budget to prioritize health investments. This article we are discussing in the context of a Confederation of Indian Industry Summit which was held to give up an inputs with respect to the upcoming budget. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has opined that there will be a budget which has been never before, and that can be possible only when Confederation of Indian Industries Partnership Summit comes up with the positive ideas and inputs to improve the budget and improve the economy to the next level. So here it was given a hint that this year's budget is going to have a special provisions with respect to health which needs to be understood here, and in the coming days we will be looking after the various provisions or various inputs which are going to be added on with respect to making a budget which has been never before. This is going to be a start with respect to various dimensions of budget which will be coming up on February 1st. So from now on, we will have to keep track with respect to various expectations about the budget and what it is going to come down. So only when you have a comprehensive understanding about various market dimensions, there is a possibility to come up with a budget like never before in 100 years as per the opinion of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. And during this context or during this summit, Nirmala Sitharaman has also stressed on that India would play a significant role in reviving the global economy and was ready to manufacture vaccines for the world. So here there is an opportunity for India to come up with new dimensions or new evolution of manufacturing industry, and the government is going to give up or give a more revival for core sector which will be in a speedy manner. Next article, MSP, the factoid versus facts. So this article is a very understanding and beautiful article with respect to few of the factoids and facts. So first we will have few questions with respect to factoids. What is the meaning of factoid? Factoid is an item of unreliable information that is reported and repeated so often that it will over a period of time will become a fact. So that is an unreliable information which will become a fact by repeated usage. So in this article, we are going to look after the crisis between government and farmers which led to an eruption of details with respect to controversial farm laws and MSP which is not mentioned in the laws with respect to the present crisis. So in today's context, this MSP has gained a lot of attention, and there is a predominance of factoids with respect to MSP and procurement that has led to a lot of debate at the present scenario, but it has not provided any valuable results is what is being discussed here. If you all remember, what is MSP? MSP is a price which is promised by the government to buy from the farmers if market fails to give the price which is being given or which is being promised. Then the government procurement is heavily concentrated on wheat and rice with other crops barely being procured. And the government announces MSP for 23 commodities, which is a floor price below which prices will not fall. Over the years, the factoids with respect to MSP and procurement has gained a lot of traction. Even a retired personnel sitting in park will say that MSP has only benefited large farmers. Those are around 6%, and majorly MSP benefits Punjab, Haryana and Western UP region is what is the unreliable information which is booming in the market. In this article, we are going to look after few statistics to come out with these factoids what are presently being debatable in the present scenario. So here the statistics which are given are from Food Corporation of India and Agricultural Household Data of 2012 and 13, which was conducted by National Sample Survey. And however, after this 2012 and 13, we don't have data. That is where it is being restricted to this one. As there is a fact that only 6% of farmers released or 6% of large farmers are benefited from this MSP, and relatively to paddy and wheat alone is a wrong thing. If you see the facts, there are numbers which shows that more than 14% with respect to paddy and 16% with respect to wheat are benefited. So it is not that only 6% farmers are benefited. This is first fact. Second fact, we will look in detail. With respect to second fact, the government, if you see, there is a contention that Punjab, Haryana and Western UP are the regions which are majorly benefited by MSP. But here we need to have an understanding about decentralized procurement policy, which was launched by government in 1997 and 1998. However, under this policy, the states were given a provision for the procurement purpose, where central government will reimburse the pre-approved cost what state is procuring under this. However, when the scheme was launched, it did not get any traction till 2005. After 2005, we can see that more than 15 states took up this program, and they are implementing with enthusiasm, which was not seen during that point of time. So largely the procurement began to start out or began to move out from traditional state what were thought as Punjab, Haryana and Western UP. So until 2000, barely 10% of wheat and rice was procured outside traditional states. That is, so here traditional states are Punjab, Haryana and Western UP. Please remember. So decentralized procurement scheme, which was launched in 1997 and 1998, till then only 10% of wheat and paddy were procured from outside these traditional states. But by 2012 and 13, this DCP made possible that the non-traditional states contributed around 25 to 35% of share with respect to procurement. For example, in case of paddy, if you see, Chhattisgarh and Odisha are the star performers. Today, these states contribute around 10% each of total paddy procurement in the country. For wheat, if you look at, decentralized procurement has taken up in Madhya Pradesh in a big way, and approximately around 20% of wheat procurement happens from Madhya Pradesh. In 2020 and 2021, the fact shows that Madhya Pradesh surpassed Punjab, and among agricultural households, if you see, the paddy under the procurement scheme, where 9% is from Punjab, 7% is from Haryana, 11% is from Odisha and 33% is from Chandigarh. If you look at all these facts, we can clearly see that Punjab and Haryana farmers have benefited from MSP is not truly a thing of past. So today there are other states which are actually getting benefit of MSP also. Those are non-traditional states as we are discussing. So the first fact, only 6% farmers are benefited, is ruled out. Second fact, only traditional states like Punjab, Haryana and Western UP are benefited from MSP is also ruled out. So there is another, so these two are factoids which are clear as of now. So what is the third factoid? The third factoid says only large farmers are benefited. Here in this context, small and marginal farmers are also benefited after this procurement policy of 1997 and 1998. At all India level, if you look, the paddy sold to the government, 1% is from farmers only, and that is large farmers, 10 hectares of land and above. Small and large marginal farmers with less than 2 hectares are accounted for 70%. In that, 29% are from medium farmers, that is 2 to 10 hectares. So less than 2 hectares, 70% of the people are benefited from this procurement policy. So overall, here we need to have the clear understanding of facts which are being presented here. In Chhattisgarh and Odisha, if you look, small and marginal farmers comprises 70 to 80% of all sellers to the government agencies. In Madhya Pradesh, nearly 40% of the farmers are selling wheat to the government who are small and marginal farmers. So if you look at all this context, the geography of procurement has changed in last 15 years, and it is less concentrated in Punjab, Haryana and Western UP only. So decentralized procurement policy has made Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha also started participating vigorously with respect to procurement. This is perhaps an understanding of facts which need to be developed in the minds of the people when they are going to have a debate with respect to any issues in the present context. So what is the true picture here we need to understand at last. Getting the facts right is the first step in resolving the issues which agricultural sector or farmers issues are taken care. So the factoids which are discussed above are need to be converted into facts and put in the minds of the people in order to have a clear understanding that MSP does not have any dispute over or effect or influence over the diversification. So this was another factor which need to be understood, that MSP makes the farmers to stick to paddy and wheat is what few of the articles we have discussed in previous Hindu articles also. So it is not the MSP which makes diversification small. If you look at in Punjab, there are around 21 to 7% people who does not go paddy and wheat. There are agricultural households where 58% and 48% respectively stay away from paddy and wheat from Punjab and Haryana. This suggests that Punjab may not have pretended or prevented diversification to an extent we imagine. We always say this, कि MSP makes the people to stick to few of the crops which are remunerative, but that is not the case what we are seeing in the present scenario. However, there are also concerns with respect to new laws allowing farmers to sell outside APMCs. This is not the first time where farmers are allowed to sell outside MSP. If you look at in India, even when MSP is announced, the proportion of sale at mandi is ranging between 10 to 64% only. And in the country, government procurement fetched an average of 13.3 higher prices for paddy and 5.8% higher prices for wheat. Still, there are farmers who are selling their goods or crops outside the mandis is what is to be understood at this context here. So, there are people who are raising their doubts with respect to questions about government procurement which is prevalent at this present point of time and the flaws in the mandi system and how MSP is implemented. But still, the debate that is popular academically and politically on these issues must take into account the changed geography of procurement and profile of the seller, which is the opinion of the author here. Today's next article, Battle for Bengal. In this article, we are going to discuss that the police personnel are being used as instruments of political battle between center and state. If you all remember, this article we are discussing in the context of BJP President JP Nadda's convoy which was attacked or stone pelted on December 10th. Under this, central government held that the IPS officers are responsible for this incident and they were recalled to central deputation. But state opposed against this move, and at that point of time, center invoked section 6 subclause 1 of IPS cadre rules, wherein there is any disagreement between center and state, central government will decide the matter. At this point of time, we are looking after that there is a crisis or there is a political battle between whom the police personnel are used as an instrument. If you remember, there are wrongdoings or there are some of the incidences wherein the personnel are being misused or used in a wrong direction. If you remember in 2019 Lok Sabha elections, the then Kolkata Commissioner Rajiv Kumar was expected that he provoked Mrs. Banerjee to sit on a dharna. After that, Election Commission of India transferred senior officials including Mr. Kumar. However, CM reinitiated all the various posts on which they were sitting from previously. In this article, there are also instances where West Bengal has prompted against the central government schemes like Ayushman Bharat and PM Kisan Samman Nidhi because of reasons stating that center has not given sufficient support or assistance in managing COVID-19 and cyclone Amphan. So at this point of time, all the partisan use of personnel and instruments of state by parties in power as it is happening in this tussle is a disturbing signal of democracy and federalism is what need to be understood here. Next article, friends and neighbor. In this article, we are going to discuss with respect to relations between India and Bangladesh. As we have seen that there was a virtual summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Bangladeshi counterpart Sheikh Hasina. This article we are discussing wherein the present relation or present bilateral summit after violent border clashes or incidents to COVID-19 fight. This summit defines a major dimension or desire to reboot India-Bangladesh ties after facing the challenges in the recent months. And in this session or in this summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also stressed out that Bangladesh is a major pillar of India's neighborhood first policy. In this context, we are going to look after various dimensions or challenges for Bangladesh which presently it is facing and how India has to put up or give a helping hand to Bangladesh at this point of time. So here Sheikh Hasina has invited Prime Minister Narendra Modi to 50th anniversary of its independence. As we all know, India played a major role during Bangladesh liberation in 1971 and December 16th, as we all remember, we celebrate it as Vijay Divas for our victory against Pakistan. So despite this friendship remaining being solid, there has been border sensitivity issues where 25 Bangladeshis were killed in first 6 months of this year at the border by Indian forces. And the Teesta River dispute still remains unresolved. Citizenship Amendment Act and the proposed NRC where the concerns were raised by Bangladeshi counterpart as said unnecessary. And we can see that China is making inroads into Bangladesh by ramping up its infrastructure investment and economic cooperation. So this gives an imperative for India to bolster its ties with its all-weather friend. So here, Mrs. Hasina in Bangladesh is facing or going through a series of crises. Under Awami League government that is in Bangladesh as of now, India is largest trading partner in South Asia and it has expanded its economy and improved social welfare in Bangladesh. Despite Awami League's tight grip over administration, there are few challenges which Bangladesh is facing with respect to Islamist factions. If you remember, after war crimes and corruptions, the traditional opposition parties in Bangladesh have weakened. That is Bangladesh Nationalist Party and pro-Pakistani Jamaat-e Islam. But there is another Islamist group called Hisafazat-e-Islam. This Hisafazat-e-Islam has recently organized a mass protest against French President Emmanuel Macron and opposed Hasina's government which has planned to build a founding fathers statue at suburbs of Dhaka, who is named as Bangabandhu Mujibur Rahman. But this Hisafazat has raised concerns or claimed that installing statue is against or prohibition in Islam and they will pull down if the government seems to go ahead with it. But the government is determined and it has made a speech on Victory Day, that is on December 16th, that it will not allow the country to divide on religious lines. So at this juncture, there are few crises which Sheikh Hasina government is going to see, but at this point of time, New Delhi has to come up with a helping hand for Mrs. Hasina's government to come out of these crises and develop a more friendly and more stronger relationship with the all-weather friend that is Bangladesh. This is all about today's Hindu news article. We will meet up with again new session tomorrow. Till then, take care of your health, study well. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.